My name is Zen Ase, and I will now unfold the story behind my name and the lessons that it holds.
Okay.
20 years ago, I worked my way through college ed. Waitressing, I paid the bills, 3 jobs in all, I bled. A day arrived so full of strife, coworkers craved the pill that kept a smile upon my face when they all wanted to kill. What are you on that gives you rest? I need some of your Zen, they stressed. I smiled and just confessed my faith is all I need. Fast forward 10, and once again, a day arrived with rage. And in the midst of chaos, others marveled at my grace. Hung around, embraced my calm, my total centeredness. Again, they intoned Zen you be, but I did not see that in me until I embraced my destiny. I had to give in. It took me 20 years to see the purpose of my life, to calm and soothe and to inspire, to dim effects of strife. Ashe came next, a word that means so be it, like amen. Yoruba in origin, it bonds me to lost kin, yet deeper still like Shelah, written in the Psalms. It means be still and meditate on what you read, ponder long. Yet even more, it means my words exhale with force. They live, they breathe, they change the world, they alter my own course. A writer and a poet, this name states my destiny to exhale living, breathing words that change humanity, that encourage people to consider truth and challenge them to grow, because at the end of everything, self-knowledge must unfold. And so now you know my purpose and you understand my plan. You have just entered the state of Zen. Never be the same again.
A wall of rain to quench the flame.
I saw that you mentioned that you was raised Catholic, and I was raised Baptist, and I didn't. My mom gave me a little bit of free range. She didn't like shoehorning them, but she's pure hardcore Christian, and that's her thing. Love her to death, fight for it to the end. But for me, like yourself, I always had questions like, I don't know. And the one question that got me in trouble in Sunday school was, hey, how do you know we're on the right side? What? What? Well, the devil is tempting us, but he's an angel. So if he's an angel, but isn't he working for God since God's all knowing? And I got, she's like, what are you talking about? Well, he's the temptation. That's his job. I was like 8 or 10. So how did you feel? Tell me when you started questioning, where was your mind state at? How do you feel like your mind state was going about the world when you started having those questions? Was it just an act of rebellion, or just you start realizing that your mind was becoming open?
Well, I went to Catholic school, and I got a little bit in trouble because I did ask questions, and my thing was I felt like I should have more of an experience of God. It was weird to me to go to church, be told to be quiet, be told to sing these hymns, turn to this page, say these prayers, confess to this person that I can't even see in a sliding room in the dark. It just was a very weird, it just felt very strange to me as a child to, how are you going to tell this person to say 10 Hail Marys and 8 Our Fathers, and this person to say 5 Our Fathers and 8 Hail Marys? It just was like, what? This makes no sense. What am I saying? How did you come up with those numbers? So it was just a very weird way of dealing with issues, and so I began to go on my own search. I felt like people in the Baptist church and the Pentecostal church, they seemed to have a more personal relationship with God. And so I wanted to go and visit their churches, which as a Catholic, you're taught that those people are wrong. And that if you go to those churches, my aunt, she told her priest that she had become a born again Christian and he excommunicated her. you know,
Wow.
because in his belief system, anything outside of the Catholic doctrine, even quote being born again, was in a sense leaving the faith. So, you know, I did become a born again Christian when I was a teenager, and I did read the Bible, and I actually went to seminary, but that didn't stop my questions. Going to seminary actually gave me a lot more questions, because when you learn the history of the church and you learn how many times the Bible's been rewritten, how many versions of the Bible have been suppressed, how many books were left out of the Bible.
Yes, that part.
All of these things. It's like, okay, again, I get this idea of who is this person to choose? Who is this Council of Nicaea to choose? Who are these people? And so eventually, about 4.5 years ago, might be 5 years ago now, I just left the church altogether, and I went back to a much more ancient faith, which is in Kemet. Our 10 commandments come from actually the 42 laws of Mayat.
Okay.
And Mayat is basically the principle of wisdom and justice. She's where we get the scales of justice from that we see in our judge, in our court system. Okay. That's actually a representation of Mayat. So I went back to something very ancient, which is basically divine laws. So for example, things that are in the Bible, like the law of sowing and reaping, that's a divine law. No matter where you go in the universe, you plant a seed. If you plant an orange seed, you're going to get an orange tree. You're not going to get an apple tree. So that's the law of sowing and reaping. What you plant, you will reap. The actions you give out, you will get consequences from. Some people call that karma, but it's a divine law. So there's several divine laws, and that's a very ancient tradition of knowing that there's divine laws. So that's where I am now in my journey, in terms of, if it's not universal, it's not truth to me. I believe in what's universal, what has nothing to do with faith, gender, religion. It's a universal truth.
I like that too. That's where I'm at. I like the universal plantations of things, because it, like you said, it is the base of everything. It's something that you can take throughout the universe. Is like your matter of mind, what you think will create type stuff. There's a law in the law of rhythm, in the 7 Hermetic principles, which is similar to what I'm guessing what you're talking about, in which they said the law of rhythm is, I'm messing it up because I'm not really
everything vibrates, everything is in motion.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, that's a divine law. Nothing is at rest,
nothing's at rest.
Yes.
I love that, because like it's pretty much stating that no matter if you're alive and or deceased, that it's still moving, it still has its job to do. I love that, because that means that's something that's not wrong and is not right. It just is. I love that as a thing. So how did you feel that now that you moved for 5 years out now, how do you feel that's helped your mental state?
Well, one of the things that I say is that as a believer, as a Christian, I was in a constant state of conflict, because what I was taught is your flesh is tempting you. You can't trust your mind, because your mind could be deceived. You can't trust your heart, because your heart is emotional, and your heart can be full of lust and full of envy and full of all these other things. So you can't trust your body, you can't trust your mind, you can't trust your heart. You can only trust God. And you have no wisdom, you have no, any trust in yourself is hubris, is pride. And so I was going through life confused, going through life feeling like I'm constantly at war with myself. I can't trust any feeling I have. I can't trust any thought that I have. I can't trust any desire I have. I don't know if it's good or evil until I pray about it and get some peace about it. And so for my mental health, that was a state of chaos for me. If I can't even trust myself, how can I trust you? How can I trust any other human being? How can I trust a relationship? How can I build anything in this world if I can't even trust myself? And so for me, moving away from that and getting to a system where everything, there are divine laws that you can trust. I can trust the law of sowing and reaping. I can trust the law of rhythm. I can trust the law of gender. You know, I can trust, like the law of gender states that everything has a time frame. You know, very few things happen instantaneously. So you have to realize that there's seasons, you know, and summer, spring, winter, fall. This is something that you can rely on with, you know, faith that it's going to happen every time. When we plant a seed, we know there's seed time and harvest, you know, so there's certain things I don't have to worry about, certain things, because I know the law that's involved. You know, I know, for example, the law of polarity states that everything is on a pole. You know, good and evil are on the same pole.
Yes.
And low and high are on the same pole. So let's say you're really high today, everything's wonderful and it's great. That will pass, and you're going to have a low day. But if you're really low today, that's going to pass too, and you're going to have a high day. So when you know the laws, then you have complete peace, because you understand you're in an orderly system.
Yes.
You're in an orderly system. There are laws that you can rely on to always operate the way they always operate. And so you don't have to be at war with anything, with yourself, with the universe, with anything. You can just be at peace. And so for my mental health, that just took a whole lot off of me, because all I have to do is learn how to flow with these divine laws and step into it, flow with the law of vibration, get my thoughts in order, get my emotions in order. You know what I'm saying? And then I can begin to attract things to me that I want, you know?
I'm gonna tell you right now, you just helped at least about 100 people right now by saying what you just said. I kid you not, because I know some people right now that's probably depressed. I know I have friends that are depressed and going through their down period, and they're thinking there's no way out of it. And everything you just said at this moment is going to be like, holy crap, that's a mind. Because some people don't think like that. It's not in their brain to like think that it's going to end. They think it's just going to continue. Like, no, it's going to end. Are you familiar with the music artist Timbaland?
Yes.
He said what you just said a few minutes earlier, everything has a season. He didn't go into detail about it, but he said everything has a season. Just know when your season comes, that's your season. Like, when you said that, I was like, oh yeah, I remember. I heard about that last month. I was like, Timbaland, you still teaching the game. Everything does have a season. And the law of rhythm, because I wanted to get everybody up, because it's almost as similar to the law of polarity. Everything flows out and in. Everything has its tides. All things rise and fall. The pendulum swing manifests in everything. The measure of the swing to the right is the measure of the swing to the left. Rhythm compensates. I love that. It's pretty much saying like, yeah, it's a down day, but not forever. Just get ready for it. Everything has a season. You helped so many people. You have no idea what you just said, because you said it more clear than I, and you said it with such poeticness, because that's who you truly are. That's your thing. I was like, woo! I felt that one. So, talk to me about breaking bad habits.
Breaking bad habits. Okay. There's a lot of layers to breaking bad habits. One is realizing that a lot of our habits are subconscious, and we probably developed that habit to help us in the beginning. So you can decide what habits you want to replace that with. All right. But you also sometimes have to dig a little deeper and figure out, why are you doing this anyway? What are you getting out of it? Because we only do things that we get something out of. So for example, let's say your bad habit is procrastination. Okay. Probably that's most of our bad habits to some degree. What do you get out of procrastination? You get a little sense of relief when you're overwhelmed. Okay. And you may not feel able to deal with whatever it is you're procrastinating about. You might be worried about it. You might be nervous about it. So what you might need to do, instead of saying, I'm not going to procrastinate, I'm going to break that habit, you might need to create some other rituals for yourself. When I'm feeling overwhelmed, I'm going to take 5 minutes to meditate. I'm going to listen to some positive affirmations that tell me I can do this and I am going to be successful. I'm going to write myself a journal of things that I thought I couldn't do in the past, but I did, and then what may happen is over time, you'll have less of a temptation to procrastinate because you will have gotten in a habit of thinking, I'm not going to be overwhelmed because I'm going to breathe. I'm going to take this step by step. I'm going to remember that I've done things that were hard before and I got through them. And then I'm going to move forward and take some baby steps and maybe break this down into doable chunks to where I don't feel like I got to do it all at once. So once you get some systems in place, you can break that bad habit. So I think everything is about realizing why you do what you do and then trying to compensate and fill that need in a better way. And one of the best books, I think, for breaking bad habits is a book called Atomic Habits. Yeah.
My roommate's reading that right now.
Yeah, it's a great, great book about breaking bad habits. Another book, The 5-Second Rule.
5 seconds.
All right. And that's basically the whole idea that whenever you get ready to do something, the first thing that your mind is going to do if you procrastinate, is tell you not to do it. Because your mind wants to keep you safe. So you basically have about 5 seconds before your mind starts to talk you out of it.
Yes.
So basically what she says for people to do is go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and get up and do it. Because if you count backwards, it actually kind of short circuits your brain and stops that negativity from starting to talk to you because your brain's not used to counting backwards. And it gives you time to just take a little breath and remember that you want to get this done and start on it, So that's it's a great book about basically short circuiting those negative messages that are gonna come as soon as you decide you want to step out of your comfort zone, as soon as you decide you want to do something difficult, whether it's going to the gym or eating healthy or whatever it is, even getting out of bed on time and not hitting the snooze button, those things are, as soon as you decide you want to do that, it's going to be a negative idea that comes in your mind if you hesitate.
Yes, because I read an article last year that said that the mind's main job is to keep the body running. It's not meant to keep it running optimal. It just meant to keep it running. Like, so when the body starts to, the heart starts to race because you're trying to work out, whatever, the mind is like, what are you doing? Don't do that. Things are getting crazy. And so that mind is you have to like overpower your mind, which is weird because that's your mind, in order to become better. Because if you don't, you just become stagnant. That's why the law of vibration is a universal law, because if you become stagnant, you're gone from this reality, because you're no longer doing that. You become depressed. No one wants to be around you. It's just like you're not doing that. You're no longer vibrating on this realm. So I find that what you said about the mind, the book, the 5-second rule. I also read an article. There was a medical something about the hippocampus that it takes 6 seconds for it to the mind to overwrite an emotional response. So like 6 seconds. It doesn't sound like it much, but counting backwards, yeah, it will change your mind. So you're just helping everyone today. You know that, right? You're helping the world. That's the goal that I set out to do when I got out of my dark depression. Because when I was in my dark depression, which was 5 years ago, roughly probably the same time that you got out the church and went on your journey, I was just coming out of a dark period of bad relationship, divorcing and everything. I was 500 plus pounds, all types of badness. all types of unhealthy stuff, mental health issues. They didn't want to be around people. It was just a bad thing. And then one thing just popped in my brain one day was I'm sitting on the couch at my aunt's house waiting to take my grandfather, rest his soul. And I'm still on the couch waiting to take him to dialysis. And I remember my mom pops in my head. I go, wait a minute, what am I doing? I was raised better than this. I couldn't be better. Sometimes you have to reevaluate your thing. Like, why did I just give up? Because I was living on the streets and everything. I was helping my aunt's house. And I was just like, I can be better. And you have to look at your shadow self and just go, the law of rhythm. Oh, it's gonna pass. Let's get over it. Oh, okay. You know what? I will. So at that point, I started pushing myself harder, looking for work, which, funny enough, I got a job that I went to school for 2 positions, for graphic design and computers at that time. I was just like, nice. And then things started going up. I got a place to live and everything. And I started going to myself, I want to help people get off the hellhole that I was in. Because some people might not have that strength. Some people might need an outside voice to guide them. You know, it doesn't despite how I feel personally about religion, I do believe it has one great structure, and that is it does help people get out of a dark place. I'm like, it has a function. You know, I've seen people do crazy stuff, go to church, they're better. They may do the things that we consider control, but at least they're not destructive no more. I believe everything has a purpose. So I find that's the world that I want to help. And I'm glad our universes collide, because everything that you're talking about right now is exactly what I wish to bring forth and to help the world. Because your universe that you're talking to is helping the universe that you're helping. And then now that it's affecting my universe, it's going to affect the other people. So it's going to help everyone. I love this. So.
Well, you know, I will say, you were talking about needing an outside voice. Some people need an outside voice. I agree with you. And I think that we all need, I heard this saying, and it's been very true in my life. Mm-hmm. When the student is ready, the teacher appears.
Yes.
And as I got ready for certain things, different people came into my life and taught me different things. And then some of those people moved on. But I felt like, okay, I can be that teacher for someone who's ready to hear whatever I have to say. And that's one of the reasons I started my podcast. Zenergy. My podcast, Zenergy, is the urge for more peace and fulfillment in life. That's what it means. And it was based on the concept of me being a spoken word artist, losing all the live shows. That was my stress relief.
Okay.
And all of a sudden, I don't have any stress relief. Okay. And so what am I going to do with myself? I've been building my audience for 2 years at that point. I don't want to lose all of these people that have been following me, coming to my shows, because I don't have any live shows. And people were like, oh, you have such a great voice, you should have a podcast. I'm like, well, I don't know what I would talk about. And then I said, well, I could talk about what we still have, even though we've lost the live shows, even though some of us have lost our jobs, even though some of us have lost some of the things that we counted on that gave us structure. They're internal things we still have. And so I started writing an ABC list. You know, I still have the ability to take action. I still have abundance in my life. I still have a positive attitude. I still have, and I just started going through A's and then B's and then C's. I started writing journals about that. And then I started saying, well, I could get together with people. We could talk about these concepts. And then I actually wrote my guided journal, which is called Zenergize Your Life, which is actually a best-selling. This is only 29 pages, so it's really short. But this is the A concepts. So it actually is a guided journal that people can go through. They can read and they can actually journal with guided prompts. And it also taps into the right side of the brain. They can put a song there that inspires them in that area, a movie they want to watch, a book they want to read. They could put a role model that inspires them in that area. You know, so it's kind of tapping into all of the ways that we learn. They also have some vision board spots in there, and they have different little graphic activities for them to do. So that's actually on Amazon. And then I wrote my memoir just last year. This is the last 7 years of my life. This is called Plenty of Guppies and Other Dating Misadventures. This is a poetry prose memoir, but it's basically how I went from broken and divorced and just not knowing who I was, not knowing where I was going, to the person that I am today over the last 7 years of my life. All the ups and downs, all the false starts, but all of the triumphs too, and all of the things that got me to where I'm going, and the divine laws that I believe in. There's a whole chapter called Imagine, which talks about my spiritual journey in there, among other things. So it talks about all these different things, you know. So
the best works come out of strife. You know, it's the most fascinating thing. I am really happy that you wrote your book, because most people don't ever write their books. They keep talking about writing their books. It takes really pain to really write your book, or some type of gift from God, like Stephen King, who just writes thousands of books a year. but definitely strife is the key, which is sad that we have to go through it, but I'm thinking that's just another universal law, if you will, that we have to go through, and we must learn those lessons. It's not that they're bad things. I believe they're just lessons. Everybody can't live a life full of happiness and glam 24/7. There has to, because you won't learn nothing. You'll just be completely blissful. But like, there's a movie that came out first or second year of the pandemic called Utopia, and it was pretty. Have you heard of it?
I've heard of it, but I don't think I saw it.
It's based upon a book. I'm sorry, wrong show. Brave New World.
Oh, okay.
Got it mixed up. Same thing, based upon a book, and pretty much it's a dystopia future. You have the high-rise people live up there, the clouds and everything, and then you have the people called savages. They're regular human beings that's still on Earth. The people up top, they are blissful. They're coded in structure. They're alpha, betas, and omegas and everything. Everything is how it's supposed to be, and they don't question anything. If you do question anything, you take a pill and all that goes away. Weird, right? So, and you got the savages, who are just the people that never went up there, who are never been coded and everything like that. And they come down to look at the savages because they think they're zoo creatures. Now, I found that fascinating, how we have to, that's pretty much us, the savages, because that's the law of everything going on. We're dealing with the emotions. We're going through the happy times. We're going through the bad times. We're living life. We are aware that there's good stuff up there, and we're aware there's bad stuff down here. But you know what? Life goes on. What can you do about it? Up there, they're not aware. They're just functional. And I believe that you need, like, it's sad to say this, you need the bad. It's the yin and yang philosophy, in my opinion. You need the bad in order to understand what good is, and understand that it's all the same thing. It's both good and bad, but it's not necessarily good and bad. You follow? Yeah. So that's how I view life. That's how I have been able to come out of my depression, and that's how you have been able to fight and climb and write your books and your poetry and help others because you've seen both sides. No one can help both sides if they haven't seen both sides. Woo, that was a mouthful. That was a mouthful. So, next topic, because I really want to get more going. Feeling energy. I saw you talk on the video talk, how you was talking about how you get this feel energy when you walk into a room. I'm the same way. That's why I don't go to clubs anymore or bars that much anymore, because sometimes you can just walk into a room and be like, yeah, something's gonna go wrong here. I'm not feeling it. So let's talk about that and how you deal with the unexpectedly going through bad room vibes or bad area vibes.
Okay. For me, I guess you could say I ground myself every morning. In terms of like I have Iyanla Vanzant has a book. I think it's called Tapping the Power Within, and she has a ritual that she does called Blessing My Head. Basically, you put your fingers in water and you bless your head, you bless your eyes, you bless your, I bless my eyes that are going to lead me, and I'm going to see what I should see. I'm going to see what the ancestors want me to see. I bless my breath. I bless my lips. I bless my ears to hear the guidance of spirit. I bless my identity, and then I put essential oils on me. Sometimes I wear a diffuser. I generally have crystals in my purse. So I have a couple of crystals that I generally carry with me. So I do things in a sense that, for me, aromatherapy is powerful. I believe that you can, in a sense, shake off negative energy, dispel it, and rinse it away. Florida water is great for cleansing yourself.
All right, what kind of water?
Florida water.
Florida water.
Florida water, yeah.
Like from the state of Florida?
It's called Florida water. It's basically like you can get it on Amazon. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it at any metaphysical shop. But basically, it's a aromatherapy water.
Okay.
But it's basically for clean. I put it in a spray bottle. I spray my house. Some people pour it into their hands and kind of wash their hands with it, put it on their forehead, kind of go down their body, just with it. So I believe in cleansing my energy, in terms of, you can do it through meditation, you can do it through going out in nature, visualization, but I believe that we should cleanse ourselves, just like we take baths to wash our physical bodies. I believe mentally we should purge ourselves of things. Like, for example, there are meditations that I do where I picture any negative energy in me being like a balloon, and I'm going to let it fly up to the sky. I'm going to let it go off into the distance, or I'm going to let it just drip out of me like water into the ground, and I picture letting all of that negative energy go. And I picture myself being filled with light, so I believe a lot in, you have to consciously cleanse yourself. You have to consciously let go of whatever it is. I buy a lot of roll-on essential oils, and most of the ones that I buy are for the chakras.
Okay.
So I do believe in singing bowls. Sound can put you in tune with vibrations. So I do have singing bowls where I will hit it with the mallet and let that sound go through. Lighting candles, prayer, meditation, as I already mentioned. So for me, I'm not necessarily worried about where I go. I mean, in terms of, I go to a lot of places to perform.
Right.
If the energy isn't right, what I try to do is, like, if I'm going to perform, one of the first things I try to do, if the energy isn't right, is stop and say, do something to change the energy. You know what I'm saying? You can change the energy through breath, through having people say something to themselves, having, I might I might say, you know what, everybody, okay, I want everybody to just shake, you know, just let's just it feels a little tense in here. Let's just get some energy flowing. Hey, just shake your arms a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, smile at somebody. Let's everybody smile at each other. You know what I mean? It could be something that simple. A smile can break up negative energy.
This is true.
You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't have to be woo woo crazy. It could be something like smile. Hey, tell the other person next to you a compliment. You know, pat yourself on the back. You got through the week. You know, it could be something. It could be a 2-second energy booster. You know, everybody stand up. We're gonna do a power pose. You know, stand like Wonder Woman. Stand like Superman. You know what I mean? So literally, I as a performer will do that. You know, I will do that because the energy that they're giving me is going to affect my performance. So I've been known to do that many, many times. And people aren't, in a sense, they don't find that weird because performers do all kind of stuff like that. You know what I mean? So, but even as a teacher, there are times when I might, you know, I walk into the room and it's like, oh, I don't know what's going on in here, but this isn't good. And I might be like, okay, for 5 minutes, we're going to journal and I'm going to put on some soft music, you know, just because whatever's in here, I might, that's all I might say. Because we just need some music to whatever is going on here. It needs to leave, you know? So it could be, and that's another thing I would tell the DJ, hey, DJ, play this. You know what I mean? As I'm walking up, I feel the energy. I don't want that energy. Hey, play this while I'm walking up there. You know what I mean? So
I'm a big believer with the laughter part. I believe laughter, that's my energy feel is laughter.
Yeah, so I think that a lot of times, you know, people, if you're meeting somebody and it feels tense, you know, hey, you know, say something to break up the mood, you know, say something. So I'm a big believer in shifting energy. I don't believe that I should be sitting in gross energy. I just don't believe it. I don't, there's no reason to. It's too easy to do things to change it, you know. So I try my best if I walk into a situation and the energy is negative, heavy, to switch it up, you know. So that's my take on energy.
Well, that's a good take because it's similar to what this young content creator who was talking about how he had displays of cups, and he was talking about how giving your energy to somebody else. And if you look at the glasses, now you have one cup is half full and this cup is half full. He said that's not what you should do. And then he gets the cup again, he puts the empty cup on the bottom, he gets a jug of water and pours the jug onto the cup, and it just fills into the bottom cup until it fills that bottom up, and this is overfilling. So what you need to do is you need to just disperse your energy, just keep being you, and other people will vibe with you. I was like, it took me 43 years to understand that. Thank you. And you're 23. Like, don't let this be a lesson, boys and girls. Your age in which you receive a lesson does not matter who you receive it from. You can receive it from a 6-year-old, or you can receive it from someone older than yourself. A lesson is still a lesson. That's why I look at things. What do you believe in the power of 3 in terms of, lately I've been trying, I too am trying to write a book. So I am writing a book in the base of 3s. And I always found the number 3 fascinating. So there's that Tesla quote that goes, if you want to find the secrets in the universe, think it's in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. You heard of that, right? So I went deeper. I was like, well, what does that mean in the health world, both mentally and physical? Like, what if it's the blood, the body, and the microbiome? Are you familiar with the last one?
Not really.
The microbiome is not new. It is not old. It's new in terms of gaining traction, in terms of it's now becoming more studied and more revered and more like, oh, you should like train your microbiome, and pretty much it's your gut bacteria and all types of the good bacteria in your body. They say don't get antibacterial shots because that kills every bacteria in your body, even including the good ones. So if you think of energy, frequency, and vibrations, I was thinking, what if blood is energy? Blood is energy. Without blood, you're not living. And frequency, what if frequency is your body? It's a frequency, it's something that's making something into something visible. Oh, this is the frequency of this is the radio station, that's the frequency. And the vibration is the things that you cannot see, the invisible. That's the bacteria that you cannot see all across your body. So I was like, what if you think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration? What do you think about that?
To me, the number three, of course, is a powerful number. And 7 is also a very powerful number. 7 is my number, but
I'm curious about that one. Let's hear that.
well, I'll go with 3 first.
Okay.
3 is a very powerful number to me. For me, the greatest symbol for 3 is the Trinity. And I'm not talking about the Christian Trinity, the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, because one of the things that I heard that was so transformative to me was a person saying, why does the Christian church have 3 men as their Trinity? What can you do with 3 men? You know, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit are all portrayed as male forces.
Right.
Whereas if you go to ancient Kemet, which is the name that Africa had, the Ankh was the symbol for 3. Okay. The Ankh represents life. And
yes.
The Ankh is actually the phallus, which is the man. That's the part going up.
Yes.
It's basically the outstretched legs of the woman and her womb. So that's the woman. And in that hole of possibility is where the child would be.
Yes.
So that is life, divine life, meaning the man and woman come together to bring from the unseen the divine spark of life, which is the child. And the man, woman, and child make the Trinity, which is the basis of society. The family is the basis of society. So that is life, and that is unity, and that is wealth, and that is health, and that is all of those things in that physical symbol. All right. That's bonding, that's commitment. It has so many meanings. Now going with 7, 3 is a number of completion. 7 is also a number of completion. 7 is a perfect number. 7, my book, I didn't realize this until I started it. I started writing, and then I realized that it had been 7 years since I got divorced.
Oh.
And my spirit said to me, you need to go back to that first day when you got divorced, and you need to come all the way to the present, and you need to go through your whole journey. Because in 7 years, this is scientific fact, your body recreates itself.
Really?
So every 7 years, the body that you have is not the body that you had 7 years ago. All of the cells in your body are new. They are replaced every 7 years. So it's a number of completion. It's a number of renewal. It's a number of resurrection. So in 7, we have 7, of course, days in a week. So again, that's a number of completion, and in that week, you have different days set aside for different things. Of course, you have a day of rest in the Christian tradition, but even in most traditions, you have a day of rest, so you have different days that are set aside. But the point is, it's 7. It's a completion. It's the complete cycle. And so for me, 7 and 3 have been powerful numbers, but especially 7.
That is, I never knew that about the 7 in our body region. Interesting. So every part of it regenerates in 7 every 7 years? Yeah,
basically different parts of you regenerate at different rates.
Okay.
But within 7 years, every part of you has regenerated. All your cells have regenerated, so that every 7 years, you basically have, in a sense, a new body. The only thing that doesn't really renew itself is your telomeres, because your telomeres shorten as you age, but everything else renews itself. So if they could ever fix the telomere program, we would live forever, because every 7 years our bodies would renew themselves.
I think they're getting close to that. They're probably not going to like market it right now, but I think they're getting close to that. It's like that movie Nick of Time or something with Justin Timberlake, where that's probably what they discovered, how to extend that. Like, how else would you be able to extend life and keep it going unless it's not by that? Because I don't know, weird. But my number's always been 3 and 9, and lately 6 for some reason. It's but definitely 9. I'm born in 29th. My birth years is 79. My cousin is born on the 9th. I was like, everything is 9th for me. So I also I try, even though I'm writing another book that's not really mental health related, whatever, but it's more like a comic book, if you will. But there's a character, his name is 9. And just like you, when I was writing that part of the book, I came to realization that holy crap, this is like a vision I had of when, how can I say this without sounding crazy? So years ago, when I was still living on the streets in my car, it was nighttime, go to sleep, whatever, and I had like this vision, whatever. And it was in the vision of what my mind can comprehend was, the God and the devil, right? And it was like this swirl, like the typical swirl that you normally see when a magician try to hypnotize you, whatever, that type of swirl. And in that vision dream, whatever, both God and the devil were simultaneously talking, and they were saying stuff like, Dave, we know that it's been rough for you. We know that everything's been bad, but you must understand that you have been chosen as a witness, mind you. I was like, and I'm sitting there and I'm sitting back, and I'm just like looking around. I was like, me? It's like, you're gonna spread our message. You're gonna spread something for us. It was like, what I'm gonna spread? What? Whatever. And then I wake up, this drop by the dream. I'm like, okay, that was weird. And so months passed, and everything started getting better, like I mentioned before. And I started working on my music album, and I started realizing that the swirl I had designed the logo was in the background. Like, that's interesting. And then I started realizing that the front logo was a design that I made years before, was the Star of David. That's my real name. And I'm like, Star of David, swirl, God's favorite. And then I started realizing, and then I started realizing that the songs were meant to help people get out of a depression state, but they were like they were my stories. They were told from a dark world. Like, for example, the song 6. The song 6, which that was a working title, and I didn't have a good title enough. Like, I don't know what to call this song. Let's just call it 6. And I started thinking back. This is what you mentioned before, how everything has a season. And I started thinking back to that song, that title. I was like, why am I calling this song 6? Why am I calling this song 6? And I remember when I was 8 years old, I wrote a poem called 6. and it was about humans pretty much lying to themselves and using religion as a scapegoat. And I can barely remember the poem. Use the skin to cover up the ugliness within. Before you count to 10, let's talk about man's number 6. Believing he's more smart than the Phillips. Men have 3 chicks, women have 3 dicks, and go to church the next day acting all religious. I'm indeed spiritual. Put that in your name like Play-Doh. If there's no heaven or hell, then where do all their souls go? And after that, it becomes fuzzy. Like, cause I'm young. So that song 6 I wrote this year was the same thing, but more of an updated version. I don't want to go about that, but it was pretty much, I separated 2 of today's technology and more religious aspect of it. And I just find it funny that your numbers are 6. I mean, I'm 3 and 7. Mine is 3 and 6. It's like going a number to 9. Anyway, I'm babbling. So I have one more question for you, and it's something that I really wanted to know about, because it's something that I think a lot of people can probably benefit from, and it's more of a relationship topic that I think can both benefit from both mental health and religion as a whole. And it's your topic on codependency. Yeah, I do my research. And then I really want to know more about that. How do you view codependency? What is codependency to you as a whole? Because some people hear that and think it's, oh, I'm dependent upon you, you're dependent upon me. But the way I heard you describe it in your podcast, I was like, oh, it's much deeper. Okay, I didn't know that.
Well, I don't remember that podcast right off the top of my head, but to me, codependency is when a person has lost their independence and they're finding a sense of identity in their connection to someone else. It could be that they're enabling a person. Like, let's say, for example, if you have an alcoholic, normally that alcoholic, once they get to a certain level of brokenness in their alcoholism, they can only function if there's a codependent person with them, a person who feels it's their job to clean up after the alcoholic when they vomit, to call into work and make excuses for them, to pay bills that alcoholic has forgotten. So basically, it's an enabler.
Okay.
Someone who feels that it's my job because I love this person, because I care about this person, because I don't want them to be harmed from their actions, to fix what they are breaking before there's any, fallout. So a codependent person to me is when you're not really letting, in a sense, life take its course, and there to be checks and balances, because you're finding your identity in a connection with the person, and you're, in a sense, cleaning up their messes, and that's one way it can work. So it could be the man who needs a beautiful woman on his arm, and that makes him feel a certain way, and he'll do anything to keep her, even if she's being abusive towards him, even if she's treating him like crap. The same thing could go for a woman. So when you're finding, in a sense, your identity, your purpose in what you're doing for someone else, when it's not helpful to that person and it's not helpful to you, that's codependency. Interdependence is when you both are bringing your strengths and you're depending on each other. Like, let's say there's a couple, and the man is really good at saving money, and the woman is really good at, cooking and cleaning and things like that. They may decide, okay, I'm gonna let you handle that. I'm gonna let you handle that. They're bringing their strengths together, but they're both getting something out of that situation. They're not using each other. They're not taking advantage of each other. And they don't have a sense of identity in it, meaning I'm not going to be less than if I don't cook today. You know what I'm saying? Or you're not going to be less than if you didn't pay a bill today. But in a sense, codependency, that person begins to doubt their worth. If they're not, if let's say that the alcoholic begins to mess up more stuff than the codependent person can clean up, then they start to feel like, well, I must not be a really good wife, because if I was a really good wife, or if I was a really good girlfriend, I would be able to handle all this stuff. I would be able to keep him from, and so they begin to find their worth and their identity in it. So to me, that's the difference between codependency. Codependency it's a negative cycle. It's a cycle that drains the person. It's a cycle that leads to abuse. Interdependence is a strengthening cycle where the two of you become, in a sense, a power couple, because you're building on your strengths. All right. And you're getting from each other those benefits that would help you to be your best self. So to me, that's kind of the difference. I don't know how I explained it in the other podcast, but that's how I want to explain it today.
You pretty much explained it. That's why I was like, that's deep, because the second one, what was it called? Interdependence.
Yeah.
That one right there, I think a lot of people don't grasp onto, because it's like, yo, I can cook. I'm good at it. You don't need to cook. Okay, well, I can save money. Oh, I don't know how to save money. Cool. I have money. Here's some money. Put it. That is really dope. And that's the making of a good business team, if you will. Some people want to be the 100% person and then leave them like, yo, you should be the same as me. Like, no, that's impossible. Everybody's not the same. But if you find the medium, the middle ground, where you both have something to give, you help people 4 times a day. You know that, right?
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm glad that you think so.
You've helped people 4 times a day, because I know people who's going to benefit from this talk and the things that's been coming out of your beautiful mind. I'm telling you that right now.
Thank you.
So before we head out, I want you to state your name one last time, give out any events that you're about to go to, the links where they can find you, any beautiful messages you want to best upon the people in the world. Here's your time to shine one last time until we meet again next time. The stage is yours.
Well, thank you. I am Zen Ase. That's spelled Zenase. That's 2 words. You can find me on Facebook at Zen Ase, Zenase. On Instagram, it's Zen Ase Poetry, Zenase Poetry. I'm on Twitter, and it's actually flipped. It's Ase Poetry, Ase Poetry. I'm on LinkedIn. So I'm pretty much everywhere. The podcast is called Zenergy, Zennurgy. If you want to get my books, you can look on Amazon, and you can type in Zen Ase, Zenase. And I'll pop up as an author. I'm also on Goodreads, so you can see the reviews on Goodreads for my books, as well as the reviews on Amazon. So I have 2 books on Amazon, a guided journal called Zenergize Your Life. And I also have my memoir called Plenty of Guppies and Other Dating Misadventures. It's not just a dating book, but it does talk about dating, among many other things. Every chapter in that book ends with a lesson. So there's 26 chapters. It's kind of the A to Z of my life. So it starts with attitude. And then the lesson 1 is don't be a rose, be the whole damn bush. So that was my first attitude switch. And then every chapter after that, is, going B, C, D, all the way to Z. So there's 26 chapters, 26 lessons. When you get to the end, all the lessons are at the end. But everything in that book is true. Everything happened. It does have 92 poems in there. So it does have my poetry in there as well as prose. And it is funny. It's ups and downs of life. So a lot of people love the book. I will be on 106.5 Jams on Friday. I'm doing an interview at 12 p.m. Central. So if you want to tune into that, if you're, not working, or you can listen into that. I'm doing a poetry workshop on April 30th. That will be at the Aldine Branch Library in Houston, Texas. So that's on the north side on Saturday, April 30th from 2 to 4. So whether you've never written poetry or you are a poet, I'm going to be talking about different techniques to write. We'll be doing some different simple poems that can help the beginner, as well as kind of give the person who has a little more experience some other techniques they might try. And I record podcasts, pretty much every week. So people who want to get on my podcast can reach out to me. My website is www.laughsandlyrics.com. So LAUGHZAND lyrics.com. There is a podcast guest form on there that people can fill out. And then they can book on my Calendly to be on the show. So I do virtual and face-to-face interviews for the podcast. So,
my God,
thank you.
You are the busiest woman I've ever met, and I'm so happy for you. I am so blessed to be in your presence right now, because you've helped me along with the people that's listening. I'm not even kidding. I'm like, oh man, from the moment you started with the poem, I'm like, man, she's a blessing.
Thank you.
Well, fellow mutations, thank you again for joining us in today's podcast, today's session. Remember, happiness is only one footstep away. Keep on the path of the journey. You're almost there. And once you get there, you'll be where we are, happy. But you're going to be here now. Matter of fact, join us now. Come on, be happy with us. Like Zen said, shake it, smile, peace. All right, ma'am, thank you for being on my show. I am so happy you came. Hope you eat your meal. I hope it didn't keep you too late.
I'll just toss it in the microwave and then I'll sit down and eat it and watch the TV.
All right.